This show is powered by BL3P, the Lightning-enabled European Bitcoin exchange.
Connect the build.
Bastien Teinturier, Acinq, France.
The Mariana Trench is the deepest place on Earth. It's located near the Mariana Islands in the Pacific Ocean, and it's 12,034 meters deep. Did you know that if you place Mount Everest at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the peak would still be 2,133 meters below sea level?
No.
Do you prefer red wine from Bordeaux over red wine for Bourgogne?
Yes.
You have a very bad track record of predicting when PRs will be accepted.
Yes.
French people will never forget 1983, the year Yannick Noah became the first and so far only French tennis player to win Roland Garros singles title. Will a Frenchman win the prestigious tournament in the next 20 years?
No.
Alain Massiot is a famous French fantasy and sci-fi writer. His second novel, La Horde du Contrevent, is considered one of the best novels of contemporary French science fiction. Did you read all his books?
Yes.
The duotone superhero is an extension of my body.
Yes.
I like to explore parts of the Tour de France by bike with my friends.
Yes.
In 2016, Paul Kalkbrenner dropped a 3-volume mix series that chronicled the arrival of techno in Berlin in the early 90s. Entitled Back to the Future, the project was part a personal odyssey, part social history, documenting the birth of musical moment that will that forever changed the landscape of Berlin and the contemporary dance music. Are you aware that most of the tracks were produced by producers from Belgium and the Netherlands?
No.
Office of Strategic Services, OS 117, is the codename for Hubert Bonisseur de la Bath, a fictional secret agent created by the French writer Jean Bruce. Did you know that Bruce's first OS 117 novel came out 4 years before Ian Fleming's James Bond 007?
No.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
No.
Welcome to the Connected World Weekly Podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Stef. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 39 of Connected World. Stef.
Hey.
How are you doing there? Hey.
Well, yeah, it can be better, but I feel a bit ill, mate. To be honest, but yeah, I don't know, man. I have 2 little kids, you know, as you know.
Yeah, so, and that goes very rapidly, then, eh?
Some kind of virus or something. So it's so strange because it's coming in waves, you know. Yesterday, I felt pretty good, and then suddenly, it
hits you.
Yeah, it hit me, and I was very sick in the stomach, and then I felt great again, and now today it's the same, man. So could be better. But
could be better.
We always have a nice appointment together, right? And to record this episode, and
I will help you through it.
I can't miss this, man. This is another great episode. So, but right after the recording, I will go to my bedroom and have some nice rest.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Well,
How
let's
are you
do
doing?
this.
How are you doing?
Some things have changed. I took care of my plant, and it was, I think, 10 years ago or something. So it's very bad. But I wanted to take care of him, and I have to change it because you don't see it that much compared to last week. But he's happy again because he wasn't happy. I had everything closed here for the sun, of course, and that's not so smart. And something real great. My daughter was playing with paper and doing some great things. And then by accident, she made this. I hope you see it.
Oh, nice.
It's a bowl, man.
It's a bowl. Oh, yeah.
It really is a bowl.
Nice.
And it wasn't on purpose, so I think it's a sign.
It's a sign.
Must
it's
be.
a sign. We should buy more.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I'm seeing in our script, Edward, something very nice. Maybe you can tell the people. We are giving away 4 tickets. Well, not completely giving away. I'm reading here, but tell us more.
We're gonna give away some extra discount because you've seen, of course, the price rise. If you've seen it, to €349 for a general admission pass
For Bitcoin Amsterdam.
Yeah, for Bitcoin
obviously.
Amsterdam, of course, in October. And we're giving away 4 tickets for an extra discount for 35%.
Nice.
So that's a staggering discount because it takes you then to the price at the very early beginning and even less. So that's great. And the thing that you have to do then is post a reaction under the tweet of this episode on our Twitter account, CTW_score podcast. And don't forget to add our promo code in your reaction. And our promo code is CTW podcast. So if you
it's 35, it's a 35% off of the current price of 349 euros, right?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
So
if it rises again, then I don't know.
The discount's even bigger.
Yeah, of course, but they're not gonna do it. I think now because they just raised it. So
they will be gone by then. I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
Nice.
No, it's gonna be a really great conference. We're gonna be there.
Yeah.
I've talked to Bitcoin Magazine last week with a couple of guys. And
I also met them at the Bitcoin Amsterdam meetup.
On the same day.
Very nice guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are so many awesome things that we're going to do there, and of course the guests. But we're not only going to cover it all, but we're doing some extra things.
And we are going to do something with workshops, or can't we tell anything about it, Edward? No. We should
we're going to tell it.
We have to keep it a secret, right?
Yeah, we're going to tell it on a slow pace, I think.
Okay,
and
cool.
Then, because we have there a place where we really can do a lot.
Something nice.
Bit by bit, every week we'll just share something about it. So now 35% discount. So take it away, 4 tickets. If you are interested, then do it. And we will put this also in the show notes and in our tweet, of course.
Who do we welcome this week as a guest, Edward?
Yeah, this week it's time for Acinq or Acinq, French. Acinq. Yeah. Because Acinq is, it's another thing next to LND, Core, Lightning, Liquid, and then you also have Acinq. So it's very interesting to know everything about it. We have Bastien Teinturier. I hope I pronounced it right.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and he's the VP of engineering. So
nice. Nice. So a bit of a technical episode again, I guess.
Yeah, and he does a lot of talks about Acinq at conferences. Also.
I prefer the French pronunciation. Acinq.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. Hey, let's first talk a little bit about the statistics of the Lightning Network, and of course about our Rings of Fire community, and then the second part will be with Bastien.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Heel knut. Wel.
So last week we had a little over 38.6 Bitcoin pushed into the Lightning Network. This week we added 3.5 million sats. So it's now 38.7 Bitcoin with around 1,342 members participating in over 176 rings.
And if we look at the Lightning Network as a whole, we're at block height 750,428. And there are 17,066 nodes, and the total liquidity is 4,580 Bitcoin. And the value of today is?
Yes, 1 million Satoshis is getting you $214, 214 euros, 1,459 Chinese yuan.
Connetti il mondo.
And then some highlighted news updates from last week, brought to you by the Daily Moon. Let's start off with Herman Vivier of Bitcoin Ekazi, because he wrote an editorial opinion for Bitcoin Magazine about Bitcoin Ekazi, a South African township creating a Bitcoin economy. Also had him earlier on our show. The township of Bitcoin Ekazi has existed for almost a year now. So that's really great. And it became a game changer for all kids in town and for everyone who's involved, also merchants. A reason to not underestimate the Lightning Network. And read the whole story about it in the article in the show.
Yeah, and I saw the guy who is managing his Lightning node from Hammer VVO for Bitcoin Ekazi is also joining one of our Rings of Fire. So
great, I didn't know that.
Nice to yeah, and he's also mentioned within the article. So a very interesting read indeed. So great. Herman would say
South African, right? Yeah, and then Geyser. We've met Stelios Ramos on the event last week and talked also with him because we also talked with the other co-founder, Mick Marucci. And they released some extra news again because last week we also mentioned them. This week, again, news from Geyser. So they just introduced the ability to log in with LN-URL auth, and it means that you can use your own Lightning wallet of choice. And the interesting thing is that you can use, all your wallets that you have. And you just log into your own profile. So it doesn't matter which one you choose. And you see this a lot with a lot of implementation that you can use LN-URL auth. And that's just great for logging in. And then LN Bits, I combined two news items from them. LN Bits announced two amazing new features because they will soon support scheduled payouts. This could as well bring new subscription models to users, as well as constant value streams for content creators, or even new use cases yet to be determined. This again shows all the possibilities. With Lightning, they're really borderless. So that's great. And Ben Ark shared a tweet also about a new podcasting 2.0 extension for LN Bits supporting LN-URL Pay and LN Address. So that's great. Yeah, and then something I've put in because I really like it. Lighthouse LN Explorer. I think, what is it? Well, I'm going to pronounce his name. I hope I'm doing it right. Because in the Rings of Fire community, we have someone who's called Saya Sodaran. Yeah. Yes. And his friend, Sarah Venanen. They created a primitive Lightning Explorer as a learning project. And it's really great for visualizing the graph and getting more insights into what all those liquidity connections look like. For a Lightning node, and they really did a great job. It's just fun.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, and I also like it because if you go to the website of them, you hit info, you just see there what is the way to change your fiat job for a Bitcoin job is just to act and do something. And he says there, well, to hire me, this app is my proof of work. Nice. And he also attended Chaincode Labs Bitcoin protocol development course and contributed to Write the Lightning. It's. I think if you really want it, then just do something.
Cool.
And I think, well, if someone is interested when he sees it, just contact him, and perhaps he could help you out.
Nice. Hey, do you want to read more and stay up to date about everything related to Lightning, the news and updates? Then head over to tdm.news and follow the Daily Moon on Twitter or Telegram. And Edward, you will put all the links in the show notes, I guess.
Yeah.
Connecter le monde.
So last week we had we balanced one ring. It was a nice 5 million Satoshis ring. So pretty decent amount of liquidity we added. Or we balanced because the ring was already open, so we just managed to balance it. And it was our pirate. His name is John Appleseed, who was the ringleader there. And he is from St. Kitts and Nevis, although I doubt if he really lives there. But he says, I'm a pirate from St. Kitts and Nevis. But he balanced the ring as a first-timer, so we had some issues at first, but lowering the fees solved the issue. And after our captain, John Appleseed, was able to build a route, he immediately decided to send the transaction. So he had to pay some fees, unfortunately, but it was all good, he said. So within the blink of an eye, all channels were balanced.
Nice.
And within this ring, we had, obviously, a pirate from St. Kitts and Nevis and a node operator from New Zealand, Holland, Swiss, and Canada.
John Appleseed. I just looked it up because it's an interesting name. I will share it in the show notes. It really is interesting. All right, that's it again. Thanks, Stef. And let's go to the lightning notes.
Let's do it.
Connect the world.
Make sure to secure your home network. So change default passwords and use two-factor authentication where possible. And keep your software up to date. It's also very important. Please keep in mind that the whole Lightning network is very experimental. Software like MyNode, Umbrel, Raspberry Blitz, for example, and many others, and LND also, are still in beta phase. Don't blindly run terminal commands on your node if you don't understand them yourself, and especially when prefixed with sudo. And the last one is also very important. Don't use Satoshis that you're not willing to lose. So if you're not aware of all security considerations, then read into it. Educate yourself, read articles, ask for help in Telegram groups with high reputation like ours, and listen to podcasts and learn by doing. Otherwise, don't participate.
Also, you can stay informed by following us on Twitter. You can find us at Satoshi Radio ROF. And follow our Lightning leader, Jonī Kyasshu. Join our Telegram groups, Satoshi Radio, Ring of Fire, and Connect the World. And check our website, satoshi.radio. It would be nice for you to be part of our Amboss community. You can find us there on Satoshi Radio. And like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Use Podcasting 2.0 to listen to Connect the World. And you can check SATA trading for the current value. You can find all this information, of course, also in the show notes as well.
All right, let's get on to the show.
Connectez le monde.
Salut, Bastien.
Salut, welcome, man.
Yeah, thrilled to have you with us. How are you
Thanks
there?
for inviting me. I'm good, and you?
Yeah, also.
We're doing fine, man. Hey, and where did you
fine.
hide the Duotone Superhero? Because it's an extension to your body, but is it...
So where is it?
beneath you or what?
I can't move my camera, otherwise you'll see it. It's everywhere around me.
Hey, but you like it's for the people who don't know. It's like a windsurf, right? So you like to windsurf. How often do you windsurf?
Whenever I'm in Brittany, so not that often, mostly during the summer. But whenever I have an occasion or can find a lake where I can do some, I really like to do it. And it's really the thing that helped me ship Anchor outputs in Eclair. Without that, I wouldn't have been able to focus enough. So it's really useful for Lightning.
Ah, nice. So obviously they paid for your surf, right? For the thing.
I should ask them.
That would be smart.
Maybe I can get a sponsorship from the brands.
A big Acinq logo on the back, right? That would be nice, man. And what I find interesting that you like to listen to Paul Kalkbrenner. I'm also a big fan of him. But did you see the movie he produced, the Bell and Calling movie?
Yes, I watched it. It was a while ago. It was many years ago, right?
2008, yeah. It's amazing. And also the soundtrack, it's beautiful. And I can recommend to everyone who doesn't know about Paul Kalkbrenner to watch the movie. And all the music within the movie is obviously produced by himself. And the movie is about a Berlin DJ, a techno DJ, and producer, and he is playing himself, and that's what I like the most. And it's a funny movie, but the music is perfect, and I think also the story is a bit tragic sometimes. So I really liked it, and it got rated pretty well. I saw also on IMDb, and I think that's
you showed me.
Big compliment, right? Because obviously he's not a big movie producer or something. So
and it's really good music to code. When you're coding, just put the soundtrack and you're gone for an hour and it's perfect.
Yeah, nice.
Hey, and Bastien, in on your Twitter bio, you have it's very mysterious. You say the sea gets deeper as you go further into it, and then I was thinking about some kind of hobby or your lifestyle or your work with Bitcoin and Lightning. And I thought, what is the deepest place on Earth? The Mariana Trench, of course. That's why. But
That's why. Okay.
did you mean something different than that, or?
No, I think I read that somewhere. I can't remember where, and I thought that it applied really well to any complex topic. Where from a distance it looks simple, but the further you go into it, the further you learn, the more subtle it is and the more complex it is. And it really makes sense to spend years working on it. And Bitcoin is a perfect example of that.
Yeah,
indeed. And that's why they call it a deep dive, right? Deep dive into Lightning and Bitcoin. And then,
nice.
Yeah,
and
absolutely right.
And we heard you are onboarding some wine shops to Bitcoin and hopefully Lightning, of course. But what's the status on that? Do you have already paid for some bottles using Bitcoin or?
No, not yet. I was close to paying for them, but they had to install a wallet and they were taking notes. The merchants were taking notes and they were really interested. At the end, they brought all the merchants in the shop around and there were 3 or 4 people listening to me shilling Bitcoin. And they said, oh, next time we will have done our research, come back and we'll see if you can buy a bottle of wine with Bitcoin. But I haven't gone back yet, so I'll need to check up on that.
Because it really works. If you have 1 or 2 or 4, then they can shill it to each other, right? So
after Bitcoin pizza, we're gonna do Bitcoin wine, and maybe it's gonna be a very expensive bottle of wine. But since it's already expensive in euros, it's gonna be really expensive in Bitcoins.
But you can also do the spend replaced strategy, right? So and I prefer the spend double replace strategy. Are you familiar with that or
no? What is
it? So if you spend like let's say 500,000 sats on a bottle of wine, you have to pay. You have to buy back 1 million sats, right? So you double replace the amount of cents you spend. So this way, this won't be a very expensive bottle to you in time. So
maybe
you can try that strategy.
I will do.
Hey, can you tell us more a bit about your background? For example, what you did before working at Acinq or Acinq?
Okay. Yeah, we can say both. Acinq,
Acinq.
It's
we all mix up.
yeah.
So I've been a developer all my life. I started by working at Microsoft for a while. I spent more than 5 years there doing backend services development. Then I wanted to move to the startup work and to start really doing interesting stuff because I was getting bored at Microsoft and I wanted to do really the things that I kind of learned in engineering school, doing algorithmic stuff, doing something closer to math like cryptography. And I found my way to a French startup who was working on blockchain and who was doing some time stamping on Bitcoin and then was trying to build products on top of that. But then it didn't really work out. And the company shifted at some point. So I realized that I really wanted to work at the core level of Bitcoin or close to Bitcoin. And then that's how I found Lightning and Acinq.
Nice.
And what if you think? Well, I'm thinking that you're saying 5 years at Microsoft. It's so different, right? Because it's a huge company, and then if you work at a startup, it's very different. What are things that you brought with you to your work at Acinq, and how did you end up working there?
I think that one of the things that I really took away from working at a big software company was how to really have a good process on deploying backend services, monitoring them, having alerts, the right alerts and metrics in place to really DevOps stuff. And here at Microsoft, there were really good practices around that. So I learned a lot. And those are the kind of things I would not have learned if I had started working at a startup where you don't really care that much about your uptime, your percentiles, your latency, everything. So I'm glad I did that. And that's something that we've used a lot when implementing monitoring for our node, because we have a big node on the Lightning Network and we are actively monitoring it a lot to ensure that everything goes well. But at the same time, in big companies, you start doing the same things over and over again, and there's not enough opportunity to innovate regularly or to try things out that are maybe not an obvious short-term plan. So I really think I cannot go back to a big company. I cannot go back to a company that's more than 20 people, I guess.
But the Lightning Network is the total opposite, right? I mean, there's so much innovation. I mean, oh man, it's incredible.
Yeah, that's
if
why
you
I
like
love
that,
it.
then there are a lot of advantages to work at as such a company and such a space, because there's so much happening here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we have all kinds of questions for you, Bastien. Obviously, also about Acinq, Acinq. But it has to be in the 21 minutes. So if you guys are ready, we would really love to enter that part and ask you all the questions. Are you guys ready, guys?
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Connect the world.
Yeah, let's start with Acinq. It's a startup located in Paris, France, and building an implementation of Lightning. And you believe with us that Lightning is a major breakthrough that will enable a whole new set of use cases and applications. How did Acinq start, and what is your exact role at Acinq?
Okay, so the early days of Acinq are quite interesting, actually, because Pierre-Marie and Fabrice founded Acinq in 2014 when they realized that Bitcoin was really an important thing and that it would last, and they had to do something with it. Actually, Pierre-Marie convinced Fabrice, and Fabrice was really skeptical at first. It took him years to really accept that, this was a thing. This would not just end badly in a few months. And they identified in 2014-15 that there were two things mainly that Bitcoin needed to solve to work. It was security of your funds. How do you ensure that you do not get your funds stolen by just a virus or on your PC or on your mobile phone? And how do we scale the number of transactions that we can do? And actually, they started working on the security part. They started working on hardware wallets. And they were the first team, I think, in the world to, in 2015, have a working prototype of a Bitcoin wallet on a Java smart card. But then at some point, while they were talking, they were in a shared co-working space, and they started discussing with other people what they were doing. And they realized that they were in the same co-working space as the people who would then create Ledger. And they realized that they really were two teams working on the exact same thing. And it didn't make sense to have two teams in France working on the same thing. And the Ledger team was better suited at really growing this into a business. They had more experience working in the chip manufacturing industry, closer to them.
And they are also French, Ledger. Ledger is also French. Cool. Didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
They were really in the same co-working space. So when Pierre-Marie and Fabrice discovered that, they said, okay,
but
so now we have to shift.
They didn't know upfront that they were both working on Bitcoin, or did they know they were also not?
No, it took them months before they realized that.
What a coincidence, man.
Yeah. So when they realized that, they said, okay, so now we need to move on to the scalability aspect. And the Lightning paper was just released. So they read that. They said, oh, this is really interesting. We have to do it. And around that time, Rusty Russell started working for Blockstream to make this a reality as well. So they met with Rusty and with Laolu and I guess Taj and Joseph Poon in Milan in 2015 or 2016. And they decided they would work around a shared specification, and each team would have their own implementation, but we would make sure that they would be interoperable. And that's how Lightning was born. Nice. And now that I joined them, I started joining them as a developer working on the specification, on the Eclair implementation, on the algorithmic parts of pathfinding and cryptography. And now I've become VP of engineering, but we're such a small team that VP of engineering just means I'm a dev with the other devs, and we're all devs in the company. There's just no one who is not a dev. So
nice. What a coincidence, man, with Ledger. I can't believe it, man. but nice. Hey, and what is the most important thing that you guys are working now, or that you are working now at Acinq?
Okay, so there are many things. What's interesting at Acinq is that we work at all layers of the Lightning stack. We work really at the specification layer. Then we put that into our own implementation, Eclair. And then we also use that to provide LSP services to our wallet, Phoenix. So it really helped us learn a lot about how people would really use Lightning, what kind of profile users existed, what kind of patterns we could see in how people wanted to use Bitcoin and Lightning. And it helped us learn a lot and get that real world data back into what we needed to change at the protocol level, implementation level, and then wallet level. So we are working a lot on optimizing the LSP experience so that people on mobile wallets can have a good experience, a good UX.
Yeah. And with the Eclair Mobile, that was an Android Lightning Network wallet. Offers also a lot of features such as channel backup, debug logging, and network stats. And can you explain a little bit about the history of the roadmap of Eclair and Eclair Wallet?
Yes. Okay. So when we started, we worked on the specification and on Eclair implementation. And on their side, the other teams, Blockstream had C Lightning and Lightning Labs had LND. And we were doing kind of the same thing, working on server node implementation. And no one was working on wallets. And we realized that if this thing was to really work, cash has to be in the hands of end users. So someone had to work on wallets. We had to see what would work and what would not work. So our goal was to make a Lightning wallet that would look just like a Bitcoin wallet and would hide all the complex parts of Lightning and would ensure a smooth experience, would be useful, could be used by people who didn't even know anything about Bitcoin. But we failed because at the time, the protocol was really early and the protocol was quite inflexible. So Eclair Mobile didn't manage to hide many of the Lightning things. You really had to understand what channels were. You had to choose who to open channels to. You were syncing the graph. There were a lot of technical details that just came at you and prevented you from just making payments and receiving payments. So we took that feedback in, and then we brainstormed what we had to change at the protocol layer and implementation, server node implementation layer to make that better. And it took us 2 years during which we did specification, node implementation to be able to then do Phoenix, which is really what we wanted to achieve with Eclair Mobile but couldn't. And now Phoenix is really there to replace it and provide a nice experience. Really looks like just a Bitcoin wallet, can be used by someone who doesn't even know anything about Bitcoin. So we're really happy that we got there. It took us years, but we got there, and it's only going to get better.
You released Phoenix in 2019, and as you already said, it's much simpler, more powerful, with options like unified balance, so on-chain and off-chain, instant on-the-fly channels, trampoline routing, encrypted peer backups, and it's also available on iOS. Which is a good thing for me. I'm an iOS user. So, is Phoenix Wallet the successor of Eclair Wallet, and what are the most important advantages over the earlier Eclair Wallet?
Yes, it's really the successor of Eclair. The only difference is that now Eclair Mobile looks more like an expert wallet, where if you know Lightning, if you want to do things yourself, if you want to really do the gory parts yourself, that's the kind of wallet you would want. But most people don't want that. So if we want to get adoption, we wanted to focus on people who do not want those gory details. And we've really hesitated a lot between maintaining the two wallets or eventually adding some of the like admin features or expert features back into Phoenix, maybe hidden in an expert tab somewhere. And we're leaning more towards that direction. We're not going to do it in the short term, but in the long term, we're probably going to provide more hooks in Phoenix for people who want to do more expert stuff. But it was too hard for us to maintain two wallets on one on Android, one on Android plus iOS. Since we're only a team of 8 people, it was just too much work for us. So we had to choose, and we're only focusing on Phoenix now. And eventually we're going to add more features into Phoenix, and maybe it's going to be a good mix that allows you to do what you could do with Eclair Mobile, but better, or just use a plain simple wallet that provides a nice UX with default values.
Well, when using the Phoenix wallet for the first time, it feels like this is exactly what pre-corners are looking for, because it was very simple in my opinion, and it doesn't ask directly to make a backup of the seed phrase, for example. It warns you that it'll do, and then later you have the possibility of doing that. Of course, it's very important, but your wallet works directly, and then with the first payment, you want to receive sats, and then it'll help you through the backup phase. There's even a drain function I saw. Why did Acinq choose this particular user experience?
We really wanted a UX that looked like what good Bitcoin wallets look like. Really simple. You just have a seed. You don't really have to back it up now. You have to back it up at some point, but you do it when you have time or you're at home and you are able to do it correctly. Then you just send and receive money and nothing more, and everything just works. But the difference with a Bitcoin wallet is that it's instant and it costs less fees. But we really want it to be the same experience. And when everything goes well, I think we achieved that, and that's really nice. But there are still edge cases or cases where some of the details of Lightning still bleed into the UX, and we're working hard on making it better. But it's getting better. It's gotten better since the first release of Phoenix. I think that in our first release, we asked you to back up your seed instantly, and we did not let you move forward with the wallet until you had done so. And then we changed that based on user feedback. And there are a lot of things like that we change in Phoenix based on user feedback and making it better and changing things at the protocol and the Lightning layer to make things more smooth in Phoenix. So
it helps with the use base of a lot of users that are trying to test it. And can you explain how it works under the hood? So when putting the first funds onto the wallet, because then it opens a channel, I think.
Yes.
Maybe
what
you
happens
can
is that the first thing that happens when you get the wallet is that you start receiving, you generate an invoice, and it's really just a normal Lightning invoice, but you don't have channels. So in theory, you don't have a way to receive funds for that invoice. But still, from the sender's point of view, we use a routing hint to make it look like there is a channel. So from the sender's point of view, there is a channel or there's going to be a channel, and they just send the payment. And when it gets to our node that your Phoenix wallet is connected to, we exchange messages to negotiate fees to open a channel on the fly. And you can configure your Phoenix to accept that or automatically deny that. By default, now it accepts channels on the fly. At the beginning, it showed a pop-up to users, and users had to manually accept each channel that was incoming. But we changed that because of notifications on mobile phones are really flaky, and it made the experience horrible. So now you can disable it, but the default is to accept channels on the fly. So once our node and your Phoenix wallet have negotiated fees in the background, then our node opens a channel, and then you can receive the payment. And we use zero confirmation for that channel so that you can send funds back immediately. There's a trade-off there, because we could, in theory, double spend that transaction and steal your money. So while the channel is still not confirmed, you are trusting our node to not double spend. But if you actually do not use the channel until it's confirmed, the only thing that you lose is the initial amount, but we cannot steal more than that. But there's some trust involved anytime you do a zero confirmation channel.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, of course.
And it sounds a bit complex what you guys do for me, obviously, at the end, because I'm not that technical. But how are you able to keep fees as low as possible then using this strategy?
Yeah, because I saw something about 3,000 sets for the first channel, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so we spent a lot of time iterating on that, because we've been through many cycles of on-chain fees. There was I think it was 2 years ago or 1 year and a half ago, the mempool has been full for a while and the fees were consistently high. And we learned a lot during that time, things we had to improve, things we had to take into account into our fee model. So we spent a lot of time trying to devise a fee model that would be as low as possible for users, but still could be maintainable for operators, because we cannot sell everything at a loss. Otherwise, if it's not even slightly profitable, at some point we'll have to stop because we won't have any more money. And the issue is that if we put very low fees, we force everyone who offers the same kind of services to also put very low fees. So we are forcing them to burn their money until they don't have enough funding to actually sustain the project. So we've thought a lot about how we can find the right fees that are sustainable while being as low as possible. And we're still iterating on that. And to make it better, we need some changes at the protocol level and also some changes at the Bitcoin level. So it takes a lot of time, and we've been working on it for years already. But this is eventually going to land, and this will help us drive the fees even lower than what we have today, while still keeping a model that is sustainable for LSPs and routing nodes.
Crazy.
Yeah, and you work on the Lightning Network's core specifications and implementations in collaboration with Blockstream, Lightning Labs, and other open source contributors. Why is it so important to work together for Acinq at this core level?
Okay, so there are two reasons. There's first, Lightning has to be a decentralized project. I don't think Lightning can work if it's only one company moving forward. It has to be multiple implementations with various priorities and tuned for different kinds of users. So we really have to work as a team here. And the reason Acinq needs to work on that is that we really need to deeply understand all the layers of the stack, because Bitcoin and especially Lightning are really subtle, and a very tiny error, something that you would not notice if you don't have years of experience in Bitcoin, can be devastating for the security of the user's funds. So since we are dealing with people's money, we really have to make sure that we understand it completely and can deliver software that is both secure and performant.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
And what is the biggest difference between Acinq, LND, and C Lightning, Core Lightning?
Okay, so I'd say that C Lightning, they even present themselves as a Swiss Army knife. Their goal is they do everything quite well, and they have a very strong plugin system. And they're really a reference implementation. They implement everything that's in the protocol. They usually don't implement stuff that are not in the protocol. They defer that to plugin, and they have a strong plugin system. LND really tries to be a developer platform, wants people to easily develop, wants to attract developers who could build on top of Lightning or on top of LND without having to understand all the gory details of Lightning. We are focusing more on the core use case of Lightning, making and receiving payments, and we are focusing more on the merchant routing node, big nodes use case. We have a node that is really a node implementation that is really scalable, performant, and secure, and stability is also, and easy DevOps is one of our main motto.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and when a lot of listeners are thinking this question, when thinking of all Lightning implementations, I feel that it could be possible that Acinq, LND, and C Lightning and Liquid could keep existing in some form and will be interoperable without users noticing it and giving them a freedom of choice. Do you think that this will be possible at the end when everything is on an infrastructure level?
Yeah, definitely. It's actually already the case. The network is already a mix of people running different implementations, and end users who are on wallets or on laptops don't even see that. And everything interoperates very, very well. And even wallets, depending on which wallet you use, they are based on different implementations. There are wallets based on C Lightning, wallets based on Eclair, and wallets based on LND, wallets based on soon LDK. So it's already happening, and I think it's even going to get better, and it's going to help create a thriving ecosystem where there's a lot of healthy competition and people building around various trade-offs, and I think that will benefit users the most, and that's important.
Yeah. And we looked it up, and I saw that the Acinq node has 330 Bitcoin liquidity in total, and you guys have 2,900 channels. So that's crazy.
We have more. We have a lot more, because that only shows the public part of the network. It doesn't show all the private channels
crazy.
That we have.
What's the total? Can you say something about it, or is it classified? What's the total?
I don't even know. To be honest, I don't even know, and I don't even want to count because that would stress me out. But
you need to join Stef in a Ring of Fire.
You guys need to join a Ring of Fire with us, man. That's the best connected node I can probably find. So we need to invite you in a future ring, man. Just kidding, man. But I'm really curious. We talked about Acinq, but we also have some questions from you for your personal view on the Lightning Network. And we heard that you really wanted to work on on Bitcoin, and in your search for a job, you found out about the Lightning Network. So you didn't knew that it existed before. So this was your first experience with the Lightning Network, right? So can you tell us maybe more about the journey?
Yeah, it was a really funny story, because I wanted to work on Bitcoin at a core level, but I really didn't know what to do, and I really didn't know who could hire me and what companies were working on that. And I didn't know about there were not that much sponsorship program for individual developers, and I didn't have much experience working at the core level, so I would not have been hired. and I was listening to podcasts to just learn as much as I could about Bitcoin. I don't even remember which podcast I was listening to, but it was about Lightning, and it
wasn't connected because we didn't exist at that time.
No, too bad. And the guest, I'm not even sure, but I think that the guest was Christian Decker, but I should ask him, and I'm just to check. He said, or that the guest said, oh, Lightning is an interesting project because it's actually 3 implementations working together. There's the C Lightning, LND, and Eclair. And when I heard Eclair, I was like, oh, that's French. Please make it French and not Canadian. They have to be in France. So I looked them up. I saw that they had a website, that they were hiring. Apparently, they didn't have much information on the website, but they seemed to be hiring. So I immediately contacted them, and 2 weeks later, I was hired. So it was really impressive and a great experience. And I arrived at the exact right time when they had just finished their fundraising. So they knew they would be able to hire more people, and right time, right place.
Nice. Cool, man.
Yeah, indeed. Well, you're at the heart of core developments on the Lightning Network and really directly contributing to the adoption of it. What are, in your opinion, the most important hurdles to take in a long-term developments of the Lightning Network when thinking of Lightning as a worldwide infrastructure for mass adoption, of course?
Okay, so if we want to keep it, to still allow it to be non-custodial, the main issue is going to be onboarding, because there are billions of people on Earth. Block space is really limited. Every Bitcoin channel uses block space. So not everyone can have a UTXO or a channel. So Lightning only cannot scale to the whole world. Oh, there's already the buzzer. And
you can take your time, man.
Perfect. So we cannot onboard everyone with Lightning, at least not the way Lightning works today. So we have to work on other things that can help people kind of share a UTXO, things like channel factories, payment pools, or Fedimint, or even sidechains. And Lightning alone will not be able to solve these, but Lightning can work really well in combinations with those other techs that are being developed by other people. So I think it's promising, but it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, nice, man. And I can ask another question because we didn't hear the gong. Which use case that are most made possible by the Lightning Network are the most notable in your opinion?
Payments. We tend to forget that just paying someone without any intermediary instantly at any place in the world it's just amazing. It's incredible. And I think that alone has the possibility to change the world already.
Yeah, we almost forgot that we can use it to pay, guys.
Of course.
We are building all those things.
If people start taking it for granted, it means that we succeeded. People know that it can work, and it is working already. It's really great.
Yeah, very interesting view. Yeah, man.
I was thinking one thing before we continue. When you were saying about the early start of your experience with Lightning, and you were listening to the podcast, Chaincode Labs, was it, existed it back then or no?
No, I don't think so. I think the first Chaincode Labs session was maybe half a year after I joined Acinq, but I need to check, but I think so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, merci beaucoup.
Indeed. We failed to ask all the other questions, but we hope if you want to be in our show another time, then we can just start firing questions.
It'd be my pleasure.
Nice.
Great.
Connetti il mondo.
Yes, Bastien, I have one question left for you. Last week, we had Christian Carolus on the show. He is the general manager of Bitcoin Magazine. And we asked him to come up with a question for you. So Edward will play the audio file and then you may answer it.
Bastien, I want to know, how do you think about the long-term implications of Lightning Network incentives on the underlying mechanism, game theory of the Bitcoin blockchain? A lot of people have talked about how it can disrupt the game theory of the Bitcoin blockchain. I want to hear from someone who's building on Lightning, who is thinking deeply about this, how Lightning and Bitcoin's blockchain work together and how that plays out in the long term for you.
Okay, so I really think they work really well together. Lightning is not going to take away too many transactions that would otherwise happen on chain, because for 2 reasons mainly. The first reason is that they are not optimized for the same transaction size amount, because on Bitcoin on-chain transactions, the fees are only indexed on the size of the transaction, not its amount. So making transactions for huge amounts are very efficient to do on-chain, whereas Lightning has a proportional fee, a fee that's proportional to the amount that you're sending. So Lightning is more going to be for small to medium payments. I don't see Lightning carrying huge payments. There's still going to be demand for on-chain space for these huge payments. And the other reason is that Lightning needs a lot of on-chain activity. And Lightning is always going to need to make a lot of on-chain transactions because we need to constantly reshape the network by opening new channels. We need to shift liquidity from one channel to the other. So Lightning nodes are going to make a lot of on-chain transactions, which is going to make miners happy. And it's funny because a few months ago, while we were having beers with Lisa from Blockstream, after a few beers, we realized we found a really nice sentence for that Lightning is the block space buyer of last resort. It's really what Lightning nodes are going to do is that they're going to wait and look at the on-chain fee levels of the Bitcoin blockchain. And whenever the fees are low enough, they're going to crawl in and make a lot of transactions to do all the things they wanted to do, like rebalancing some channels, opening new channels. So they will ensure that the blocks are never empty. And I think it's really a net benefit for miners that
we already do that within our community. We ask everyone to open channels and choose one set per V-byte, for instance, and just wait for the mempool to clear. And when the mempool is clear, then all the guys participating in our Rings of Fire start opening those channels, and you see the mempool slightly increasing a bit. So we already do that.
But of course, you can also program it to do it when balancing. So I think, that's interesting. If you can program it everything to do it as low with low fees as possible, then then it's always there's a lot of traffic.
So Lightning is not going to take away a block space from miners. It's not going to kill their business. On the contrary, I think.
No.
That sounds bullish, this. Yeah, great.
Conecta el mundo.
Merci, Bastien, for being on our show. Let's hope we see each other again. Are you coming to Bitcoin Amsterdam, by the way? With Claire or with... it's in October. It's a Bitcoin magazine.
There's TabConf at the same moment, so I'm going to be in Atlanta.
Too
bad there are too many conferences happening right now. 2 years without anything during COVID, and now way too many. We cannot be everywhere, and it's frustrating.
No, that's not yet. Maybe in the future. And Edward, we almost forgot to ask Bastien to come up with a question for our next guest, mate.
Of course, you're
so maybe take it away, Edward.
Because next time we have Nitesh Balusu. He's an open source developer from Georgia, USA, and started working at Foundry Digital. What question can we ask him from you?
Okay, I have a very tricky question. It's much harder than it looks. Do you think that Lightning works if the on-chain fees are consistently high? Good luck.
Do you think Lightning works if the on-chain fees are constantly high? Okay. Does Acinq work then? Because you guys always want to have a low fee, right?
Many things start breaking apart, and not necessarily on the technical side, but there are a lot of things where trust actually creeps in, and many things that you think are not trusted when the on-chain fees are always high actually become trusted, or you have to accept that you may lose some funds. Fund safety is harder to guarantee because it's not going to be economical. It creates a lot of weird incentives. So our hope is that on-chain fees are always going to fluctuate, and even if they are most of the time high, there will be time where they get low, and that's when all the Lightning nodes will come in and make transactions. Because if the fees are consistently high, Lightning is not really delivering most of its promises. So it's going to be interesting to think about.
Cryptical question to ask.
It's good to not answer it now.
No. I'm sorry. I shouldn't ask.
No, then Nitesh is going to watch the episode.
Hey, thanks, man. Again, merci bien. Where can people follow you, Bastien? Do you maybe have a Twitter or your GitHub or whatever you want to share with us?
Yes, I'm not very active on Twitter, but you can find me there at realtbast. And I'm mostly active on GitHub, where you can find me at tbast, t-bast.
And I saw also you are going to be in a Twitter space with Synonym, Spiral, and Blockstream about Lightning limitations. I think it will be interesting.
Yes.
So perhaps if someone wants to follow it, listen to it, then I also put it in the show notes.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, and thanks to all members participating in the Satoshi Radio Rings of Fire. And of course, thanks to everyone helping us to connect the world together. If you like our content, please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also donate and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. We need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those sets flowing, rings burning, and see you all next week with Nitesh on this same Lightning channel. Adieu, Bastien.
Salut.
Au revoir.